Coming up on this episode of Flirtations, we welcome Alexa Andre, a sexologist and host of the In Bed with Alexa podcast, onto the show to have a conversation with us about body confidence and dating non-monogamously. Today, we'll get into what it really means to date non-monogamously, how to set clear and respectful boundaries, and how to approach dating in this way with confidence, whether you're exploring casual connections or something more long-term. Alexa brings so much insight and honesty to this conversation, and I know you're going to walk away with a fresh perspective on what it means to create relationships on your own terms. We've also got questions that came through about body confidence and how to own your body flirty in dating. So whether you're curious about non-monogamy, would like some support with confidence, or just want to hear a refreshing take on modern dating, this episode is for you. Let's go, flirties.
I heard you wanted to flirt. I heard you wanted to flirt. I heard you wanted to flirt. Hello, my name is Benjamin. I'm the flirt coach and a gay Libra. Everyone has an inner flirt.
Hey, flirty.
Live, laugh, flirt.
Work the flirt.
Work the flirt. Delulu is the Salulu. Expert on the flirt.
Hey, flirty. There's always another flirt.
Everyone has an inner flirt. Get out of your head and into the flirt.
Flirties, on the show today, we have sexologist Alexa Andre and host of In Bed with Alexa podcast to have a conversation with us about body confidence, hooking up, and non-monogamy and dating. Hello, Alexa.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thank you for being on Flirtations today. How's your day going so far?
It's been pretty chill.
Yeah.
I was editing this week's podcast episode, so that's what I've been doing and getting ready for you, obviously.
Good. We're recording this, a little bit earlier in the day. I slept in this morning.
It's good. I was up at 5:30, so I'm ready.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so because I went to bed pretty late. I did my part-time shift at the grocery store last night, and so it was one of those where it was so busy and I was bringing so much energy home that it took a while to simmer down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So as we were setting this up, chatting a little bit in the DMs, getting to know you through your content some, but for the flirties getting to know you for the first time today, I'd love to hear more about you and how you got into your work.
Amazing. So I'm born and raised in Costa Rica, actually, which surprises a lot of people. They're like, where do you actually live? And I'm like, I actually live in Costa Rica. And I studied psychology. And while I was studying it, I took a class called Sexuality and Pleasure. And I was like, there's no fucking way that this is a job. Like, this professor of mine is getting paid to hear people's issues regarding sex. We should be paying them. That's so fascinating.
Yeah.
So just clicked. And then I studied sexology because it's so interesting.
Yeah. And
here we are.
Yeah. And here we are. So the study of sex, would you help people in the bedroom with different dynamics, or do you get into maybe differences in libido, or if people have differences in kinks or exploring new things? So some of the things you do as a sexologist.
Right. So for couples, it's a lot of desire differences, libido issues. Desire has gone down, which is normal. It will happen in every relationship. Yeah. So that's probably number one. Number two is people wanting to open up their relationships, which I love helping with. Okay. And number three, someone cheated. So we have to work on that. Okay. And then individuals, with men, it's lots of erection issues. Recently single or divorced, wanting to start dating again. And self-confidence. Yeah. And with women, reclaiming pleasure, or they've never had an orgasm, or lots of shame, or they want to have a slut era and they don't know where to begin. And I'm like, I got you. I got you, girl. So that's my client work. And then on top of that, I do the Instagram, the podcast. I give workshops in swinger cruises, and I write a little bit of everything.
Wow. That's fascinating. I'm like, where do I want to take the questions now? I think what's standing out for me is some of the work you're doing with individuals. And so, because I know there's a lot of flirties that are they're in relationships long term, and they're just sort of like, they enjoy the Flirtations podcast. They're getting some flirting tips, some sexy tips, and we're going to give them those as well, for sure. For the individuals, when someone is trying to reclaim maybe their confidence in the bedroom, if you'd frame it like that, what are some things that you help them with there?
It's really, we are taught to hate our bodies, no matter what they look like. If you're a teenager and you like the way you look, there's something wrong with you, right? So like, it's like, why don't you hate yourself? So that is how we grow up. And then we start having sex and suddenly this partner wants to have the lights on and look at every crevice and every wrinkle and every ingrown hair in our bodies. And we're like, hold on a fucking second. Like, why are you doing that? And it's hard for us to understand that bodies are sexy, no matter if you have a six pack or not. If you're soft and squishy, you're also hot. And accepting that and unlearning all of the body shaming and fat phobia that we grew up with is so hard. So from being like, oh my God, what do I look like right now? What faces am I making? Am I getting body rolls? And is my back, is my back knee showing? Are they looking at my butthole, like pulsing, going from that to being in the moment and enjoying what you're actually feeling and not giving a fuck about what your body is doing, which is our body things. That's a big step. And that is a process that we pretty much all have to go through. Some people it's easier. Some people it's harder, but like we all have to kind of go through it. So I do help people with that a lot. And myself too. Like sometimes I'm like, oh, my belly, and it's like, no one's looking at your belly. And if they are, it's probably hot. So like, forget about it.
Yes. Okay. So we got some questions here about body confidence in the bedroom for sure. Cause that makes so much sense. And I've had that experience too, where I grew up totally hating my body. You're just so hyper fixated and focused on not what's cool or good, but what's wrong and bad, the things that you want to change, right?
Quote unquote, wrong and imperfect, right? Which is what makes us unique in us.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. And if you're in your head about that and you're trying to position yourself the just right way, or like the lights have to be off. And then I'm thinking like times I've made excuses, or you delay, or you just try and rush it and get it over with. Yeah. It just makes it a really not so great, sexy experience.
Right. And or we feel like we have to drink. And then there's people that have to have any sort of substance to be comfortable having sex. Like some people never have sober sex. And it's like, let's work on this, because you should be able to enjoy this while you're sober also.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Let's get into some of the questions now. This one from a flirty who says, I've lost 200 pounds. Congratulations.
Yay.
Good job. And my clothed body and naked body are very different. Scared to undress for someone new.
Yes, it is scary. And our bodies will change. Yours had a dramatic change, but our bodies will constantly be changing. We age, we lose, we gain weight, we evolve, right? And it comes from accepting it, right? Like if you own it, and you are proud of yourself and happy about how far along you've come through, and you have the loose skin to show it, no one, there is no room for people to judge you if you own it, right? And if they do, then they're not for you. So if you come in and you are confident and you're like, this is who I am and this is what I've gone through, take it or leave it, they'll take it or they'll leave it, right? And then you'll filter out people really easily.
Yeah, that's really good advice. And I'm like, once you start to accept yourself, and then what's coming to mind is just being really proud of all the work that you had to put in to go through that. And then I'm thinking if you come in with some of that trepidation or that hesitancy, or if you're feeling embarrassed or something, like that energy, the other person is going to read that, and then they're going to kind of maybe mirror or mimic that a little bit, versus if you set the tone of, I'm really confident, this is my body, take it or leave it, they are probably going to take it.
Right. And if you're not there, because it's hard to set that tone and be like, I'm awesome, right?
Yeah.
You can set a disclaimer. You can be like, hey, I'm going through some body things. I had a big transformation. I look very different underneath my clothes. Can we refrain from talking about it? Do you think we can enjoy our bodies without mentioning anything? Like, I just want to, or take it slow. Like, you can also just set that tone and that boundary of like, I don't want you to comment on my body. And then you can try to forget about it. It's hard, but like, at least you set a boundary and then they have to respect it.
I like that tip a lot. Yeah. So before clothes are even coming off, you're in the bedroom, setting a boundary just with
having dinner, like even like way before, you know?
Yeah. I like that. Just with communication. And that might very much help you feel just more empowered, perhaps, just like, you know, some of those maybe expectations of what is this other person going to think or feel when they see me undressed. Like you're putting that on the table beforehand.
Right. And then their reaction is going to tell you probably everything you need to know.
Yeah.
Being plus size, while I am not, I have helped a lot of people feel more confident. No matter, honestly, everyone's insecure. You're hot. Okay.
Yes.
Being plus size is hot. Fatness is hot. And we are surround yourself with people that have unlearned the fat phobia that we grew up with.
Yeah.
Literally, there are so many people, especially in big cities, that will adore you, worship you, and like fall to their fucking knees if you're plus size. Like if you own it, if you're like a goddess and you're like, this is who I am, and I am taking up space, and I am loud, and I'm big, and this is who I am. Yeah. Worship me. They're gonna be like, what do you want? Like, please let me breathe your air. Like, please let me be around you. So it really, like, you have to set the tone. If you believe that, you're set. And if you're a woman, follow Miss Giggles on Instagram. 3G, MSGIGGGLES.
Okay.
She's a goddess. I had her on my podcast, and like, it's just like, she understands how hot she is, and it's great. So follow her.
Miss Giggles. First, I love that username
Me too.
so much. That's
Megan.
Fun.
Megan is her name, but yeah.
Oh my God. That's so much fun to say. Yeah, I think that's such good advice. And I don't know how this flirty identifies or who they're dating, but I will just say what I hear from guys dating women is they love it. Like,
they love it.
They freaking love it.
And you see like a skinny guy with a fat woman. And I'm always like, he worships her. Like, and people don't understand that. People that have never seen it or been around it, they're like, what's going on? Like, that doesn't fit. It does. And they are obsessed with their woman. Yes. And the other way around too. Like, women are different when it comes to looks and being big. Like, dad bods are in, right? Like, society is not as hard. It is hard. It's still not as hard. It's more common to see. But when I see a scrawny, fucking looking guy with a big girl, I'm like, yes, hot. Like, I know that man loves her.
100%.
So yeah, we love to see.
Yeah. And I would say also, I'm just adding here, like, where to maybe meet some of these guys. It's like, it's your gym bros. Like, it's your gym. And I was thinking about this recently. And then I saw a video that just was like, oh my God, this is so it. A lot of your gym bros were the guys who grew up super scrawny, kind of nerdy. They were made fun of. Or
I just saw that TikTok.
You saw that same?
Yes! I was just watching it.
Or they grew up overweight. And then they made that transformation. They dedicated themselves to the gym, to getting fit, to losing weight, whatever their motivations were. But they, like, inside, there's still that person that they see as, like, they don't see themselves maybe how you see them, right? And so it's those gym bros, I'm telling you, the gym
bros are... They understand what you, because some gym bros are actually gym bros and they're like dickheads and all the things that is the stereotype. But then so many others are just nerds that just worked on their bodies and themselves. And now they look like a gym bro, but they're like a fucking soft little cute little thing that will worship you. So definitely gym bros. And if you walk around life, like, owning it, I think you'll attract the right people. And then feel this pretty kinky too. Not that being big is a kink or anything. I'm not trying to fetishize it, but like people are kind of more open-minded, less like trying to follow into these societal rules.
Yeah.
So if you were looking for an app, I would just say Field would be a good choice, in my opinion.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, if you got some tiger stripes, get out there. Like, there are going to be so many people that just find you incredibly attractive. Yeah.
While thin privilege is real and it is a thing, and I don't know if it'll ever go away. I think we are kind of evolving, and again, you just have to own it. Like, if you try to fit into every trend, you'll never be you. So if you're always you and true to yourself, you might be sometimes in, sometimes out. It doesn't fucking matter, because you're you. And you can always be in if you're authentic and if you're you.
Yeah.
So set the tone, be yourself, and like stop worrying. Find the right people. I stopped caring so much about my own body when I started following people that look like me and have my same imperfections or insecurities, like hip dips or like back rolls, whatever the fuck it is. If I started seeing that and seeing these people own it and have really good relationships or the lives that I wanted to live, I was like, fuck yeah. Like, if you can do it, I can do it. Like, we look the same. So follow people that look the same or what you aspire to be, but in a good way. Like, make social media positive, because I use it in the way that I love it.
Yes.
And while it can be super harmful, it can be a shit show. Like, try to be strong and leave that aside and use it in such a positive way that you feel empowered in yourself, in your body, and you can grow. Like, social media is great if we use it in the right way.
Yeah. I love that so much. Yeah. I mean, the number of accounts that I have blocked and hidden because, I'm glad you mentioned thin privilege too, because it's definitely like, it's the narrative around how you should look, what is quote unquote beautiful or healthy, right? There's always going to be something that is pushed based on trends. If it's like super stick thin, and then we went to BBLs, and now we're going, that very much kind of like all natural glam kind of look, which is still like, takes a lot of work sometimes. And it's like, I'll share a little bit. So I've always been pretty much the scrawny guy, which is like played with my mind a little bit because it's been difficult to bulk up, like to get the muscles. And I know, like, if you are on social media like that, and even in the movies and everything, like all your action stars, right? Your hunks, like your GQ model, sexiest man alive, they've got muscles. Like, it's not me. Like, I don't see myself there. And then I had to shave for my bar mitzvah. So I've always had tons and tons of hair. And that is not something you see really represented at all. And so that was really my sticking point when it came to body confidence. I used to swim with my shirt on, right? I didn't want to do anything in the locker room, change in front of people, because I was so embarrassed. And I still, like, I've overcome that a lot, but I still carry, like, I was just yesterday doing yoga, hot yoga, and I didn't take my shirt off because I was embarrassed. Like, it still is with me sometimes, but what I didn't do is like just shame myself or get mad at myself. It was like, you know what? I got the practice I wanted. I had a good time. Even though I didn't take my shirt off, that's okay. There's always next week.
Yeah. Okay. But if you hear yourself, you're like, I see the media and all these buff guys and like fucking, they walk around like this. But what if you consume? Yeah. What if you're on the side of Book Talk, for example, where the scrawny guys are always hung and all the girls or people or guys everyone wants the scrawny guy that's super hung. You see if you're on the Timothée Chalamet train, like everyone's obsessed with him.
They kind of are,
right. And like, if you start consuming that, you start believing it. Right. And whether it's true or false, it doesn't fucking matter, because you believe it. If you believe you are it, you are. If you believe everyone wants you, without getting too arrogant, like your confidence, and you would start like walking different, like. But if it doesn't matter if it's true or not. It only matters if it's true for you, right? Yeah. So I can be telling you this and it's true for me, but if you don't believe it, it's not going to matter until you do. And once you do, you'll see.
That's Thank you for that. That's so true. Yeah, I'm thinking about like the days when I am feeling super confident and I've got just like chest out, chin up, shoulders back, like we're not walking, strutting. People receive my energy and interact with me completely different. They're like, what it is, or like, did you do something different, Benjamin? Like what's happening today? And it's just literally nothing. It's just an energy shift. It's a mindset shift.
Exactly. And like body hair wise, like I love me a werewolf. You know Zach. I love Zach, and I love how hairy Zach is, and he is like hairy. I think his beard connects with his chest hair. Like literally, he's that hairy, and I love it, and he owns it. And it's like, if you don't like hairy, then you don't like me. Like, go find someone without hair,
right?
Because he owns it. He really like. It's not personal if someone doesn't like him. It's just who he is we're just not a match, but it has nothing to do with him, it has something to do with the person that doesn't like him. They're missing out,
right?
The Zach is great, so he looks at it that way. For example, he's very confident. He's a role model when it comes to confidence, honestly.
That is really helpful because we should all we get to feel good in our bodies.
It's our home, so and it's the only one we'll ever have. So between loving it and hating it, I'd rather love it. So we're all trying to put in the work to love it. Like, absolutely. If you're not comfortable in your own skin, then you'll never be like at peace or at home.
Yeah. That's so true. And so I think the flirties are going to get some fantastic takeaways from this part of the conversation and feel more at home in their bodies.
Good.
Yeah. So they can go out there and have so much fun dating, which is what we're going to talk about now.
Awesome.
Let's get into some of the dating questions, because as I was thinking, putting this episode together, it's like so much of dating content is focused on dating for the relationship, which is fantastic and valid. And I'm going to give the flirties tips and tricks and how-tos all day long. Why are you dating? What are you looking for? Is it a relationship? Do your values and goals and desires align? Do the people you're dating want a relationship? Fantastic. What are we doing there, and how can we make that happen? There are also a lot of people that are dating and don't want a relationship. And this is where that point of conflict and friction can come in, where it's like how situationships and friends with benefits develop. But then outside of all of that are just people trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
And we're in phases of our lives where it's like, I want to make connections, I want to have sex, or I want to hook up, but I'm not necessarily looking for long-term commitment. How do I do this? What do I do? So we're going to play in that space today. What do you think about just dating culture right now? What are some of the things you see in your work?
I think dating is an art. I remember my first date from an app, and I was shitting my pants. Like, I was shaking. I was terrified. I was like, oh my God, how does this work? What do I do? What do I say? I was extremely nervous.
Yeah.
And now I don't even know how many first dates I've been on. It's practice. And so is casual sex for me. Like, I think everyone could get good at casual sex, whether you want to or not, completely personal. But it is a skill. And it's not a skill we are born with. It's a skill we have to develop. Again, because we are taught that love and sex come together, and that feelings and the steps of relationships and what should happen after we have sex and blah, blah, why won't they call me, and all the things, right?
Absolutely.
So it is a skill, and you have to unlearn a lot of things to have that skill. So dating culture is an art. It's a game. You have to know how to play, and at the same time, not play games, because I don't play fucking games.
Right.
Don't come at me with playing hard to get or not replying for a week. Fuck that shit. No. And we have to learn to match people's energy. Because if you're there not replying, I am not replying. But if you're here and you're engaged and you're showing interest and you're asking questions and you want to plan a date, I'm with you. I'm spending my time here, not here. Right? It's hard on the ego. So work on that. You have to leave it at the door, honestly, and not taking it personal. Some people like collecting matches. For example, if we're talking about dating apps, people love collecting matches and never speaking, never setting up a fucking date.
Yeah.
So don't take it personal. Like, so many things could be happening behind the scenes that you will never find out.
Yeah.
That it's easier, it's nicer to choose that there's something going on with them. Like, it's not you. It's not because, unless you fucked up and you said something weird or something, it's probably them. And just move on to the next, right? Don't get too hung up on what happened. What did I do? What did I say? Just move on, because it's hard.
Okay. Yeah. This is helpful, because you're making some distinctions between like dating for a relationship and dating for maybe some more, I'll say, casual connections, but there's still so many parallels between how you're going to date. Like, I think that's where, yeah. What are you thinking?
Even if, because I date a lot when I'm traveling, and that is casual for me. Like, I'm not looking to start a long-term relationship. I don't live in your city. Like, I'm just there for 2 weeks recording my podcast. I'm having fun, right? And yet I am looking for people that match my energy. For me, even if I am probably down to fuck because I love sex, I want to have a fun date first. I want to have a meal, or I want to go axe throwing. I want to do pottery class. I want to get a couples massage. I want to go lingerie shopping. I don't give a fuck. I want to do something. I want some effort to be put in, and then sure, if we get along, we're gonna fuck. But like, come over without any effort, for me, it doesn't work. I'm not there. So even if you're dating for casual, it still means like effort can still be put in there, right? Even if you fuck and you see each other 2-3 times or just once, it can still be a really fun time and a really amazing date if you make it so. I am super strong in my boundaries. I'm like, if you're not going to put in an effort, it's not going to happen. And I also FaceTime everyone before I meet them. Which is a safety thing and a vibe thing. It saved me a lot of time. I completely recommend. And a lot of my friends have started doing this, and they're like, Alexa, like, it saved me so much time and money, because they're like gentlemen and they invite people. Like, thank you so much. It really is a vibe check. Because if you cannot hold a 10-minute FaceTime, or it's weird, like, what the fuck are you doing? When it is going well, you realize you've been FaceTiming for an hour and a half, and you're like, okay, let's save this for the date. Like, this is great. So that is a really big tip for me.
Okay. Yeah. I love, the pre-FaceTime or the pre-date FaceTime, because it's great. It's a fantastic vibe check. You would know, you can verify who they are. If you don't want to share your personal number, you could do it on maybe an app or something like that. Perhaps. A lot of
apps offer it now. And if they're not down to FaceTime you. Why the fuck? Like,
that's a red flag.
What the fuck is wrong? Complete red flag. Like, why wouldn't you be? What's the problem? So
when you're setting up, like, because I got this question where it's like, if I know I don't want a relationship, or I'm in town for a little bit of time, like, am I leading someone on if I'm going on the date, or do they know that, like, I'm just visiting or something like that?
Well, are you being upfront about it?
Okay.
Because I am in New York this Friday for 2 weeks. And I am setting up dates, obviously, because I want to be busy. I need to balance out all the work with some fun dates, right? It's very clear that I'm there for 2 weeks, that I will be seeing people other than you. And that's the vibe. Have any questions, ask me. But, like, be upfront about it. And if you're not even traveling, like, I think saying looking for casual is not good enough. I think if you're specific, a lot of people are looking for casual as well. And people think that, no, everyone wants a relationship. Like, I'm going to get less matches, or people are going to be less interested if I'm upfront about this. But that's not the case. People are upset when you do lead them on and you do say you want a relationship when it's bullshit. What people want to know is the truth. So if you just want casual, fun dates and still see multiple people at the same time, say it, try it out and say it. And you'll find, like, because ultimately you want to find people that actually want the same things and that are right for you, right? So if they say no, they weren't for you. And then you can find the people that are aligned with you. Because trust me, there are plenty of people that will want the same things.
Yes.
And there's a lot of shame around not wanting a relationship, right? Like being happy single, wanting to date around. And lots of people are in that boat. Like the shame is unnecessary because it's a lot of us. So you're fine.
Yeah, really good. Because it's like when people are dating more casually, and sometimes I'm like, what words do we use here? Is it casual? Is it situationship? Like, I feel like it's its own thing and what works for you. But it doesn't mean that you're not being clear with your boundaries. It doesn't mean that you're not communicating what it is that you are ultimately doing. And so I think that's the difference in how and why you're not leading people on, because you're saying, this is where I'm at. This is why I'm dating. And then it's up to the other person, right? Then we get into sometimes they'll change, or, I don't know, like their actions, behaviors, they really look like they're dating. So you just have to go back to what did they tell you?
Yeah. And that is such a good point, because a lot of people get confused when they said it was casual, but here they are holding my hand and like giving me kisses all over. And it's sorry to bring Zach back up again, because he talks about this too, and we've talked about it together. Because I do that. I will be your girlfriend on our first date, and our first and only date. I will scratch your back. I will kiss you, and I will hold your hand, because that's who I am. I am super affectionate, and I mean, I'm there for a fucking reason. I want physical contact. I want touch. So people might get confused, but as long as you are upfront about it, and you can be like, hey, I'm very affectionate. This doesn't change what we talked about, right? Like, if you think it's been a problem in the past, just say like, I like this. It doesn't mean that I'm changing what I want from this. I want to hold hands. And then you just talk about it. But again, it's just communication.
Okay. We're going to stay here for a minute, because I know I get so many questions about this, I'll say like style of dating. And I think there's a lot of anxiety and some confusion about like just how all of this works. So this question is really speaking to what you were just sharing about. And this person says, how do I not develop feelings? Although I feel like when people are dating more casually, they feel like they can't or shouldn't develop feelings. So I want to get your take on that.
So it's a skill. Just like casual sex, casual dating, it is a skill. And if you have tried and you've practiced and you know what you're doing, kind of, and you're still catching feelings, then maybe it's not for you, or it's too hard for you to not get attached. But also, what is so wrong about feelings? It depends, right? Like, are you starting to want a relationship and they're not? Because that's different. Then you're incompatible. But if you're starting to like this person and you care for them and you are having a great time, so what? Maybe they're feeling the same. And that doesn't mean that it has to escalate to a relationship. It can become an amazing friendship, because like fucking your friends, first of all, is really fun, and it can be done healthily. Like you can have friends with benefits. If you like, it is possible, because a lot of people think it's like a myth, like it never works out. It can. Done well, it can. So like, what is so wrong about feelings? We are emotional beings. We will feel. So as long as you're on the same page, you're fine. If we have issues when we're incompatible, right? When one wants more than the other. So it is a skill. And we feel. So just keep an open line of communication. And this is the hard part. When to stop, right? When to be like, if I keep going, I'm going to get hurt. And it is your responsibility. If you know you can't handle it, you have to end it. There are people out there that are really good people, and they will end it for you because they know you will get hurt. Other people will treat you like an adult and will continue to get out whatever they're getting out of this relationship. And you will get hurt. You knew you were going to get hurt. So be strong enough to stop it. Take the steps ask your friends for help, go to therapy, like whatever it is, there will come a point where and we know we're just stubborn and we keep going because we're having a good time or we like them or whatever. But it's going to be a fucking shit show if you keep going. So like it happens. But we know we're not stupid. We know we just ignore the gut feeling. We ignore the little voice. Yeah. So just listen.
And it's like there's so much. I mean, there's going to be some nuance here. And I feel like each connection might be a little bit different in what works for you. I'm thinking about when I've dated like this in the past. It's like when I start, like I know when I'm like really catching feelings and I'm having some of those expectations is when I like want to start relying on this person in a way that is maybe not built into that connection, nor is it going to be a part of it. So it's like, reaching out to a friends with benefits, like to take you to the airport at 4 a.m. or something like that. And then all of a sudden now you're hanging out and you're going on more dates and then you're getting really intimate with your conversations. And now it's starting to really mirror and mimic a relationship. And in my mind, I'm like, oh, wait, I want to see if this can become more kind of thing. And that's when I have to catch myself like, It could. Yeah.
It depends on the other person, right?
Yeah.
But you can always test. Like if you agreed on something, right? But at the end of the day, something happened and you want them to be there for you. You can test that. You can be like, hey, this happened. Are you available to I really just need to cuddle. Like I need someone to be here for me. And how they react, that'll bring you back to reality. Because sometimes
that's for sure. Yeah.
They're like, oh, no sex today? We just want to cuddle? Then let's see each other another day.
Right.
Or they might actually be like, oh my God, what happened? Are you okay? Of course. Just should I bring ice cream? Like, what do you need? And then small things, it might not be small, but things like that can be the step that turns it into a beautiful friendship or relationship. Yeah. You just have to be open to the fact that they might say no and they might reject you.
Yeah. Okay.
And then dealing with that is hard. But if you're seeing someone casually and then you want to see them every day, all day, every day, then maybe you do want a relationship. Yeah. It's a matter of fact, if they want it, and if they don't, you have to be strong enough to cut it off because then you're going to get hurt.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. This flirty says they're doing casual for the first time, but it's confusing. Is it normal to be stressed?
I mean, yes, I understand why you're stressed. It's your first time. It is confusing. But if you're confused, ask questions. If you're with someone and you can't ask them an upfront question, no. Like anyone in your life, your family, friends, coworkers, like you should be able to ask them a question regarding your relationship, whatever that looks like. So you're confused, clear it up.
Yeah.
Like, don't be scared to bring shit up. Like, you're both human beings. It's fine. They should be understanding. And if that is what's happening, maybe they're taking advantage of you because you're new at this.
Yeah.
So be careful. Dating should be fun. I understand the stress, but ultimately it should be pretty fun. You should be having fun.
Yeah. Because you're having fun out there dating, right? Yeah.
Oh my God, yes. Okay, and shit happens. Honestly, I hadn't had like a negative experience in a while, but I had one on Saturday. And it brought me back to reality a little bit because sometimes I am too trusting. If you want to date casually, but you don't like having sex too fast, and this doesn't really happen to me because I love sex. I usually have sex pretty fast, first, second date. In this case, I didn't. I have a yeast infection, so I'm having treatment. So I couldn't have sex. But this man was so pushy and not respecting my boundaries that I felt super unsafe. And I was like, this doesn't really happen to me, I guess, because I usually also want it. But in this case, I felt really scared and unsafe. So you also have to be really careful. Like, these are strangers after all. So take care of yourself, especially if you don't like having sex really fast, because people sometimes don't know what the fuck consent is all about.
No, they don't.
And we think if you understand it, it's obvious. And I think I'm repeating myself every time I talk about it because I feel like people know, but they don't. And you have to be careful. Just beware. Like, that's also a disclaimer. If you're out dating, you're putting yourself at risk, and that's a fact. You just have to minimize it or be okay with it.
Mm-hmm. Communicating your boundaries. Yeah, this flirty asked, are there some flirty ways to talk about boundaries? I think we've been giving them some tips throughout this conversation with the FaceTime. Yeah.
And on a date, say no to something. Test how they react to your no. Because if you test it for the first time when you're in bed, but while you're out on a date, just say no to something and see how they react. Because some people hear you say no and they hear convince me. They hear change my mind. And that is not what we want. We want no is no. Let's find something else that we agree on. So I like to test boundaries right from the start. I'm like, no, that doesn't work for me. Let's do something else and see how I react. Okay. Even if I do like it, like I don't give a fuck. It has to be something stupid, right?
Right.
Just to see how they react, because it's so important.
Okay. I love that tip. And do you have a couple extra minutes?
Yeah.
For the interview today? All right, cool. Because I want to ask you, as we start to wind down the conversation here, just some questions about non-monogamy. As we teased that at the start of the interview, is this style of dating, it just, because I don't feel like it inherently lacks commitment, right? Like there's still that element present. So maybe how non-monogamy and casually dating is different from the dating for a relationship, or is it? Help me.
I think that's why I have such high standards, even when it comes to casual dating or casual sex. It's because every encounter or even casual sex means something, even if it means sex and pleasure. Like, I always want to be respected. I always want to be taken care of. I always want certain things, no matter if it's my long-term partner or if it's a one-time thing. I want those things, and I know I can get them. I know I deserve them, and so on. So I make sure that these people that I'm meeting tick these boxes that I need. So I think when you're non-monogamous, you have that a bit more clear. You know what you want. You know what you're looking for. And commitment, or the style of commitment, it's not gonna impact on how you're treated. Like, don't lower your standards just because it's a one night stand, right? Get treated how you want to be treated always.
Okay. That's helpful. Yeah. Cause it's just because you're non-monogamous doesn't mean like the outcome could not be a relationship as well.
Correct. It's also different because when you're non-monogamous, everything's out in the open. Like, I leave my options open all the time, because even if I do have a partner and I'm dating casually on the side, that could develop into a partnership. Like, I'm not opposed to that. And that is the beauty of non-monogamy. It's that the door is kind of always open. Things develop naturally. Like with some people, I know it's just sex. I would never have a relationship with them. With others, this is great. Maybe we'll be besties. Maybe you will be my new partner. Maybe it'll be a 2-month fling and then we'll never see each other again. Like, who the fuck knows? And it's easier to let people come and go, I think, when you're non-monogamous, because it happens so often. Okay.
But you're still using like good boundaries, communication, like all of that is still a part of this style of dating as well. Okay, cool. Because I feel like what I hear sometimes, it's like if you're dating casually, it's like all of that goes out the window and you're just sort of waiting for the other person to take the lead or initiate, or you're just sort of like letting them call all the shots. And what I'm hearing you say is like, no, you still have your boundaries. You're still like, this is what's up. I'm keeping my standards high. Okay, cool.
Yes, this is what the fuck is up. No, I would never like settle just because it's casual.
Amazing. Okay.
Fuck no.
All right, good. Good. I think that's going to be so good for the flirties. Let's do one more question here. Alexa, how about anxiety? This flirty they said they're starting to date casually. You know, they've got maybe a little, they're seeing a few people at the same time, but they're having some anxiety. And just, is that normal, and what they could do about that?
Yeah. Where's it coming from? Like, are you anxious because you don't know where this is going? Are you anxious because you might be trying to settle down? And then what the fuck are you going to do with the other person that you're seeing? Are you anxious because they're not communicating clearly and you don't know what's going on and you're just taking their lead and you're just blindly following whatever they give you? Where is it coming from, right? Like, and then what can you do? What questions do you have? Can you ask them? Can you ask yourself, like, do you even know what you want? But like, where is this going, right?
Yeah.
So ask the questions to the or to yourself, get the answers that you need, and make decisions, right? Like, anxiety is usually us overthinking. We worry about things that will never happen when we're anxious. So just reflect, where's it coming from? Is this realistic? Will it actually happen? Or am I just making up scenarios in my head? And then have your bestie to talk shit out. Like, they should listen to you. And if you're going on and on, they might be like, okay, that's enough. Like, you're being the Lulu is enough. Like, we need to stop. And then they can also get back to reality. They can be your reasoning. They can hear you out. They can make you see another perspective. And they can also be like, okay, shut the fuck up. That's enough. Like, that's never going to happen. Let's watch a movie and forget about this, you know? So it depends.
Okay. Yeah. Delulu only in moderation. That's really helpful. Yeah. Because what I sometimes hear from flirties and from people dating, it's like that because there's maybe kind of that no strings attached aspect to things that I'm like, I shouldn't be feeling anxious. It should just be fun, carefree, but that doesn't necessarily mean like, you're not going to have anxiety sometimes. So that was a really helpful answer. Yes.
And we get attached, like no strings attached. I don't listen to that as an excuse for them to not treat you right, or for them to be like, your needs are too much. Because we're humans. We do get attached, and you do deserve to be treated like a queen, like a king, like whatever you want, like royalty. We do get attached. And even if you're just fucking, you deserve communication, you deserve respect, and you deserve honesty. So agreements will be had, even if it's casual.
Yes. Ooh. Agreements will be had. I love that. I think, so I want to ask this last question, just how this flirty is asking, like, how will I know I'm non-monogamous? Like, is this maybe how I identify? Is it fluid? Yeah. Bringing, some context to those thoughts. Like, will I know?
Yeah. So disclaimer, non-monogamy is not better than monogamy.
Okay.
I just don't think it should be the default. We grow up like monogamy is this ultimate goal, right? Like the best thing ever. It shouldn't be default. It works for a lot of people. I know a lot of people are happily monogamous. It's just for others, non-monogamy is what's best for them. Okay. So we should all question all of the options, consider them, lay them out. You can maybe dip your toes a little bit. You can try because there's also endless ways to be non-monogamous. You can try a little bit of everything, see what works. And if you change your mind, if you're non-monogamous for 7 years and then you're like, actually, now I want to settle down with one person, completely valid. Like we do change and we change our minds, and our relationship dynamics also change. What we need changes. So you can change your mind all the time, as long as you do it like in a good way, communicating, and like don't just tell your 7 partners like, sorry, I'm gonna go be monogamous. Bye. Right? Like do it in a good way, but you are allowed to change your mind and try it out. Like, you want to be monogamous? Do you want to be open? Do you want to be poly? Like, try a little bit of everything. See what works. See what doesn't. You will learn. Like, you will have hard times. You will learn. And you will learn how to communicate. Non-monogamous people, we know how to talk. We know how to have hard conversations. And that is a skill everyone should have. So there's lots to learn from non-monogamy, even if you're monogamous.
Yes.
So.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that's so helpful. And I think the flirties, this has been helpful for me, because I think like how non-monogamy gets portrayed, it's that like you kind of don't care as much about the people you're dating, right? It's just like you ghost them, or you don't communicate, or you're just sort of, you're seeing a bunch of people at the same time. But what you're saying is that it's actually a very intentional very intentional way of dating that still has boundaries, standards, communication, respect, all that good stuff. It's just dating in a way where the outcome isn't like that built-in expectation isn't that one-on-one monogamous relationship. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't know. It's not like that for me at all. What you're saying, no one, I don't think it's ghosting. And I think non-monogamous people are really good about being like, hey, this isn't for me. Like, thank you for everything. I don't want to move forward with it. Yeah. And everyone's super okay with it. Like, I think we handle rejection a little bit better. It still stings, but we're like, I get it. Thank you. So ghosting is not really necessary, or not respecting people's boundaries. No. We don't want that. Good. I reject that energy.
Yes. For the person that's like one step they could take in their maybe a non-monogamy journey. I think there's going to be lots of steps they can take listening back to this conversation, but kind of the maybe final takeaway here. One thing they could do to explore non-monogamy.
So if you're single and dating, baby step is being open, not just because a lot of people are like, oh, unless we have the exclusivity talk, we're free to date other people. No, actually tell your date that you're seeing other people and see what happens. They might be okay with it. They might be like, why are you talking to me about this? They might be like, oh, that's hot. Tell me more.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm the latter.
Yeah.
Like, tell me everything. And if you're in a relationship, first thing is, hey, I heard this podcast. This gorgeous woman was talking about non-monogamy.
Yes.
What do you think about it? And then like start the conversation. And if you've already talked about it and you're kind of ready, start fantasizing about it. I wouldn't do anything just then. Start fantasizing with your partner, what that looked like. If you want to bring someone else in the bedroom, what rules you would have, like how it would work, how it would look like, and be playful with it. But those are like the 2 baby steps you could do to start.
Fantastic. Alexa, Andre, thank you so much for being on Flirtations today and sharing a lot with the Flirties and myself. This was a big learning experience for me, as every episode thus far has really been, focused on more broadly connection. That's my mission as the flirt coach, but specific to dating, connections that transition into that long-term committed monogamous relationship. And so I think this has to be a part of what I talk about, because that's not why everyone is dating or what everyone is looking for, and bringing just words to all the experiences we can have. So thank you so much for being on the show today.
Of course. Happy to come back anytime. And I hope all the Flirties, I hope to see you all Flirties wherever I am, so we can hang out there.
Absolutely. I'm going to have your links in the show notes below. How can they find your socials and your podcast? So
at Sex with Alexa on Instagram, that's my biggest. If you want to book a call with me, it's sexwithalexa.co. And my podcast is In Bed with Alexa. So I'll see you all over there.
I'll send the Flirties your way. Thank you so much, Alexa.
Of course, my pleasure.
That's a wrap on this episode of Flirtations. Thank you so much to our guest for this conversation, Alexa Andre, for being on the show today. I myself learned so much from Alexa. Really appreciated her being here. Definitely recommend checking out her podcast as well, In Bed with Alexa. Yeah, some really fun episodes and fun guests if you're looking for more on some of the topics that we explored today. Yes, her material is there for you, and maybe a part 2 coming. Yes, I think so, because I want there to be a part 2. Thank you, Alexa. And thank you to you, the Flirties, for listening, for tuning in, for streaming, wherever you may be in the world. Yes, my outro here. Just thank you again for being here, for rating, reviewing, subscribing to the show. If you haven't already, please make sure and do that after this episode today, and then head on over to another episode or a Flirtini, or over to the show socials, I'm there for you, doing my best to help you in your flirting and dating lives, supporting you however I can. I'm here for you. I'm here for it all, for all the moments. So thank you so much. All right, officially signing off here at Flirt Headquarters. My name is Benjamin. I'm the Flirt Coach and Gay Libra Flirty. Happy flirting.